Hi everyone, it's Lisa. I'm crafting from my kitchen today as part of the Paris Bourbon County Library and the crafting sessions that we hold periodically. Today we're going to be constructing a rag wreath. This is super easy and I think that you'll find most of the supplies that you have at home will work sufficiently with this. So let me reposition so you get a better idea of how we're going to be making this and constructing this, and also to give you a list of supplies. Let's do take two. Okay, I think this is a much better position for what we're going to be doing today, which is our rag wreath. This is a wreath form. Let me give you a list of the items that you're going to be needing for this. This is a wreath form. It is a small one. They do make the large ones, which is obviously what I have done my wreath in. These are $1 at the Dollar Tree. And they are also available at other places as well. But you will need a wreath form. You will also need fabric. There are two types of fabric. Well, there's many types of fabric, but when it comes to what I've chosen, which is a flannel, with a woven color throughout the flannel itself. Now, you can use old shirts, old flannel shirts, flannel pajama bottoms, whatever you choose to do. On this one, I definitely wanted to make sure that it was a woven fabric, because if it's printed, if this image were printed on there, the back side of this is going to be white or an off-white, and I did not want that to show on my wreath. I actually wanted to be able to tie it, and as I tie it, both sides of this would appear to have the plaid pattern to it. So I chose a woven fabric. You're also going to need some scissors, or you're going to need a cutting mat and your rotary blade. This actually makes the job go a lot more quickly. And then the only other thing I can think of that you might need is a bow to accessorize it, or some greenery as well. And we're going to talk about that at the very end of our process. So I'm going to need a lot of these. I think I calculated for the large wreath, I need about 150 of these. So you are going to need an abundance of fabric, but you will also be able to probably find that abundance of fabric in your home already. Think about flannel shirts, as I said, flannel PJs, that kind of thing. I'm kind of pulling those ravels off there just a little bit. These are approximately 7 inches long. You can make them a little bit longer. I like to trim them up so they're even, but I found that between 7 and 8 inches is probably going to work for you. Now I'm going to demonstrate one on the smaller wreath, but then I'll reflect back to the larger wreath because I'd like to actually finish that wreath today. This could not be simpler. All I'm going to do is lay my wreath, and I'm going to go over 2 sections at a time, and it is a simple knot, and I'm going to double knot it, and I'm pushing it over to the side. And for the second one, I'm also going to take 2, but it'll be the inner 2, and I'm going to tie this and double knot. And I'm going to slide that over to the side here. Now on the back, you can see where we tied our first one and where we tied our second one. I'm going to go ahead and do just a couple more, and then we'll revert back to the larger wreath. You can also do this rag wreath with ribbon. Ribbon is kind of an expensive thing to make a wreath out of, but it is very possible. Also note that I'm using a cotton fabric. Cotton fabrics tend to fray, so be ready to deal with that. And you can, as I started, you can see I'm already picking at it just a little bit. But once you pull those out of there, I think you're going to like the look. It does give a little bit of a frayed, country, rustic look. Now here again is the back of it. Our first one, second one, third one, fourth one, and I'm just going to keep those on there and keep them tight. This would actually make an adorable candle ring for your your battery operated candles, the ones that have no actual flame. But those would be great in the center of that once you finish this out. So let's refer back to our large one so that we can finish. As I said, on this large one, you can see my patterns developed here. On the larger one, you'll see that I have more to deal with here. I've actually got one more ring, metal ring, than I did on the smaller one. So let me go ahead and get this finished. I am going to do the same process, which is, I'm going to actually start by taking 2 of the wire ring that go around the wreath. I'm going to double knot it and slide it over. I'm going to take the center 2, double knot it, push it over. This is very rustic. The color of the fabric, it being a plaid, it being a Christmas plaid or a winter plaid, all of those types of things I think tend to make it more rustic. We're going to brighten it up a little bit before I finish up my video here. And we'll finish it up and add a little bit of sparkle to it. Double knot. There are kits available for this. The kits contain a wire form and other suggestions on types of rag wreaths that you can make. The fabric, obviously, as I said, use things that you already have at home to make this. This is very inexpensive. Now I do want to take my scissors and trim just a little bit. Some of the ones that, and actually trim up some of my little ravelings that come off of there. This one needs a little bit of a trim. Just trying to make sure they're all about the same size. And we're going to add just a couple more. The good thing about this is any additional embellishments that I put on this, including a ribbon or any greenery for the Christmas holiday, I can wire it on there, and that way I can still use my wreath. I can redecorate that a little bit, make it appropriate for fall, just by adding some greenery, some foliage, some leaves, a bow, whatever that you think would be appropriate for it. So the good thing is we can wire on here. We don't really need to hot glue anything to this. Let me trim this one up a little bit. You can see it gets a little crazy and starts fraying. I'm only going to do one more for you because I intend to put my bow at the top anyway. I just want to show you what that's going to look like. Actually, let me do one more. Now you can see I still have a gap at the top. I'm not finished by any means. I would prefer to go ahead and finish that before putting on my bow. Let me do some last minute trimming. Okay, now how are we going to finish this off? I found this was actually very long. I would say it was probably 2 feet on the stem. And it had berries, and a pine cone with it. So I took my pliers, I took the end of it off, and then I noticed that you could easily pull these out, and that's what I wanted to do. My intention with a glue gun, not a glue gun, excuse me, with wire, is to put one of the little pieces of greenery that I have wired together in that direction, one in this direction, and then I've debated, this is a very big bow. It's almost an orange red. It is beautiful, but I think it's too big. It is also burlap, I should have said. I think it is too big for my wreath because my wreath is not very wide. I like this burlap bow that I made, and I think it would be great right here in the center of my wreath. And all I have to do is use my wire, which I have here. This is, I believe it's a 22 gauge wire. All I have to do is take that wire and wire the greenery and the burlap bow to the rag wreath. Now, if you have been following my crafts, then you'll know that in early March or April, I did a rag wreath using a cardboard form rather than the metal forms that we have. So use what you have at home. If you need to go back to that March video and see how I was able to do that using cardboard, please do so. But you can use any type of form that you have or that you can make. This craft is super simple. It does not take a lot of time, surprisingly. I was working on it while I was watching TV a little bit, and the whole process went pretty quickly. I hope you will think about making this craft at home, and I hope you enjoyed this craft. We'll be crafting again from my kitchen soon, so keep crafting.